what if you could type an email without ever touching a keyboard, just by thinking the words? Or what if we could give someone their voice back when they've lost the ability to speak? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it's not. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible science of brain-computer interfaces, a technology that is literally creating a direct link between the human mind and a machine.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the big picture dream behind all this. Then we'll get into the two main ways scientists are actually listening to the brain. After that, we'll look at what this tech can do right now. And finally, we'll do a reality check, separating the hype from the hard science as we look at what's next.
Okay, so first things first, what's the fundamental goal here? What does it even mean to create a neural dialogue between a person and a computer?
At its heart, it's all about listening in on the brain's private conversation. See, every single thought you have, every intention to move, it all creates these tiny electrical signals firing between your brain cells. The entire goal of a BCI is to catch those signals and translate them into a language that a computer can finally understand. And believe me, the ambition here is way bigger than just playing video games with your mind, as cool as that would be. This is about building a fundamental bridge between two massive fields, neuroscience and computer science. The real hope is that by connecting them, we won't just control machines, we might actually start to decode the language of thought itself. So that's the dream. But how do scientists make it a reality? How do you actually tap into that complex electrical symphony happening inside our skulls? Well, it really comes down to two main approaches, and each one comes with a huge trade-off.
The system that makes all this possible is called a brain-computer interface, or BCI for short. The best way to think of it is as a universal translator. It listens to the electrical language of your brain and then uses some really sophisticated algorithms to turn your intentions into commands a computer can actually execute.
And this brings us to the fundamental choice in BCI design. You really have to pick a path. Do you stay on the outside of the head for a much safer, non-invasive approach, or do you go inside the brain to get a much, much clearer signal?
The non-invasive method usually means using a cap with a bunch of sensors, called an EEG. Here's an analogy. Imagine you're standing outside a stadium during a rock concert. You can definitely hear the music, you can feel the beat, but can you pick out what a single person in the crowd is yelling? No way. The signals from the scalp are kind of like that. They're noisy and all mixed together, but they're still good enough for some simpler tasks, like moving a cursor or controlling a wheelchair. Now, the second approach is way more direct. We're talking about surgically implanting tiny microelectrodes right into the brain. To go back to our concert analogy, this is like you've pushed through the crowd and put a microphone right up to a single musician on stage. The signal is incredibly clear because you're recording directly from individual neurons. And yeah, this high-precision approach is exactly what companies like Neuralink are working on. Okay, so once you have these signals, whether they're the noisy ones from the scalp or the super precise ones from an implant, how do you actually turn them into action? How does a little flicker of brain activity become a spoken word or a moving robotic arm? Well, it's essentially a four-step pipeline. First, you record the raw signals. The next huge challenge is filtering out all the other background noise the brain is constantly making. Then comes the really clever part, where machine learning algorithms hunt for specific, repeatable patterns in that clean data. And finally, the system learns to map a specific pattern, like the intention to move your hand, to a specific command. And the results from this process are genuinely life-changing. We're talking about people with paralysis who can now type out messages just by thinking. We're seeing people control advanced robotic limbs and even generate synthetic speech, restoring abilities that many thought were lost forever. I mean, just take this example from researchers at UCSF. They have actually managed to translate the brain signals associated with speech directly into a synthetic voice in real time. This is so much more than a clever trick. It's a profound breakthrough that is literally giving people their voices back. But for all of these incredible achievements, it is so important to ground ourselves in reality. We have to be really clear about what this technology cannot do yet and understand the enormous challenges that are still ahead. So let's just get this out of the way right now. This is not telepathy. This isn't the mind reading you see in the movies. Current BCIs cannot just reach into your brain and pull out specific thoughts or memories. They can't reconstruct a detailed scene from your imagination or listen in on your private internal monologue. And here's a good way to understand the limits. Scientists can create a pretty blurry, rough reconstruction of an image that a person is actually looking at. Why? Because that creates really strong, predictable signals.
But trying to reconstruct an image someone is just imagining, that is exponentially harder. The neural patterns for imagination are just way more complex, more spread out, and frankly, unique to every single person. And the reason it's so unbelievably hard really comes down to scale. Your brain has somewhere around 86 billion neurons, and every single one of those has thousands of connections. They are all firing at once, creating an electrical storm of almost unimaginable complexity. Trying to isolate one specific thought from that storm is like trying to hear a single raindrop fall in the middle of a hurricane. And all of this leaves us with a critical, profound question for the future. We're developing this technology with a truly noble goal of assisting people, of restoring functions they've lost. But as it gets more and more powerful, we as a society are going to have to confront a new boundary. Where does assistance end, and where does human augmentation begin? It's a massive ethical conversation that we're really only just starting to have.